Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. It's a line we've all heard, right? But what does it really mean to be merciful? In this explainer, we're going to break that down, and I've got to say the answer might not be what you think it is.
So let me ask you, when you hear that word merciful, what's the first thing that pops into your head? It's a word we use all the time, but do we really know what it's getting at in this specific context?
For a lot of us, I think it brings up images of charity, right? Missions of mercy to help people after disaster or to feed the hungry. And of course, that's a good and beautiful thing.
But here's the twist. The source material we're looking at today says, hold on a second. While all that stuff is absolutely wonderful, it's probably better described as kindness or compassion. True mercy, it suggests, is something way more radical and a lot more challenging. Okay, so let's dig into that. Let's really pull apart the difference between just being kind and being truly merciful. This chart right here just lays it all out. On one hand, you have kindness. That's helping someone who is simply in need. But then you have mercy. Mercy is about withholding a punishment that someone actually deserves. The motivation is totally different too. Kindness comes from a general sense of benevolence. Mercy? That's motivated by forgiveness for something that went wrong. You see, kindness doesn't assume any offense happened, but mercy always starts with the assumption that, yeah, an offense was committed. It's a direct response to a wrong. And, to get even more specific about it, it really helps to put mercy side by side with another huge theological word, grace. People tend to use these two interchangeably, but they are worlds apart.
So, grace. Think of it like this. It's getting something good that you did absolutely nothing to earn. An unexpected gift, an unearned blessing. It's when you get something positive, not because you're good, but because the one giving it is good.
And then mercy, well, that's the other side of the coin. It's not getting the bad thing that you absolutely do deserve. It's the punishment you've earned, the consequences that should be coming your way, but they don't. They're withheld. And this verse from Titus just nails it. It shows how the two work together perfectly. We are saved not because of our own righteous actions. That's grace, getting salvation we don't deserve. And at the same time, we're saved because of his mercy. That's not getting the judgment we do deserve. See the difference?
Okay, so why are we splitting hairs here? Why does this distinction between grace and mercy matter so much? Well, because it's the entire foundation for why we're asked to show mercy in the first place. It all comes back to this idea of an unpayable debt. So here it is, the heart of the matter. The entire idea is built on this one concept. Because you have been shown an almost unimaginable level of mercy for your own wrongdoing, you are now called to turn around and show that same mercy to others who have wronged you.
And this is where it gets so tricky for us, isn't it? We are all about receiving mercy for ourselves. I mean, who isn't? The host in our source tells this great story about when he was 15. He took his dad's school car without permission, went for a joyride, and completely wrecked the transmission. He was terrified. But when his dad got home, he just looked at it and figured the old car had finally given out. The kid was just relieved, ecstatic even. He got away with it. He didn't get what he deserved. And we love when that happens to us. But for other people, for them, we want justice.
Now, this isn't a new problem. Jesus knew this was part of our human makeup, which is exactly why he told this incredibly powerful parable to really drive the point home. You can find it in Matthew chapter 18. So the whole thing gets started when Peter comes up to Jesus and asks, "Lord, how many times do I have to forgive my brother when he messes up?" And Peter, probably thinking he's being super generous, suggests 7 times? I mean, the common teaching at the time was only 3. But Jesus' answer, 77 times, was basically his way of saying, you stop counting. Forgiveness doesn't have a limit. And then he tells this story to explain why. The parable kicks off with a servant who owes his king 10,000 talents. We have to pause here because this isn't just a lot of money. It's a completely astronomical, impossible figure. Some scholars say it would be billions of dollars today. The point is, it's an unpayable debt. It's meant to represent our debt, a debt we could never, ever hope to repay on our own. So the servant, of course, falls on his knees, begging for more time. But the king does something absolutely shocking. He doesn't just give him an extension. He doesn't even just lower the amount. He shows complete and total mercy, and he cancels the entire debt. Poof, wipes the slate clean, it's gone. This is a picture of that radical mercy we've received. So picture this. This guy is walking away completely debt-free from this insane amount,
and he goes out and finds a fellow servant who owes him 100 denarii. I mean, compared to 10,000 talents, this is literally pocket change, a totally manageable amount.
And what does this guy do? This guy who was just shown unbelievable mercy, he shows zero mercy. He grabs his colleague by the throat, starts choking him, and demands to be paid back right now. And when the poor guy can't pay, he has him thrown in debtor's prison. I mean, the hypocrisy is just breathtaking.
Well, word gets back to the king, and he calls the servant in, and he asks this one single, soul-crushing question. It's the whole point of the story. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you? Having been forgiven an impossible debt, how could you not forgive the tiny debts owed to you?
Now, this is a really, really radical call to forgiveness. But, and this is a huge but, it is not a call to be naive. It's not a call to be a doormat. So it's super important to understand the practical boundaries of what mercy is and what it isn't.
So let's be crystal clear about this. Mercy is not an excuse for someone to emotionally manipulate you. It is not a command to just automatically trust someone who has proven over and over again they can't be trusted. And it absolutely, 100% does not mean you have to go back into an abusive situation. Forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things.
You know, the story of King David and King Saul is maybe the perfect example of this in action. For something like 15 years, Saul relentlessly hunted David, trying to kill him. And on 2 different occasions, David had Saul cornered. He could have ended it right there. But he chose mercy. He spared Saul's life. Yet, even after forgiving him, David didn't just go back to the palace and pretend everything was fine. No way. He wisely kept his distance because he knew Saul couldn't be trusted. His forgiveness was real. He proved it years later by showing kindness to Saul's family. But that forgiveness was paired with wisdom.
So when it all boils down, that's what we're talking about here. This act of mercy, this forgiveness, is about releasing a debt. It's being able to look at the person who wronged you and, in your heart, say, "You owe me nothing." And you do that because you remember the monumental, unpayable debt that was released for you. And that's what I want to leave you with. It's a question for all of us, really. If mercy means not giving someone the punishment they deserve, what debts are we still holding on to? What resentments or grievances are we clinging to that maybe, just maybe, it's time to release?